Binge Town, how we feeling today? It's your boy Dave, and I am joined by the OG anime squad of Alki and Kyle. It has not been that long, but we are so freaking pumped for today to be covering the anime adaptation of South Korea's hit webtoon Solo Leveling, specifically episode one. I'm used to it. This webtoon was introduced to us several years ago at this point, and it immediately took over our friend group. Week by week, we were reading the webtoon, absolutely hooked on the story, the fights. Definitely the art style was a big selling point of it all as well. And finally, after a few years of the webtoon being finished, we are finally getting it adapted into an anime. Just for the record, the main character, Sung Jin-woo, is easily a top 10 favorite character of mine all time. And I wouldn't even hesitate to say top five either. So but I'll digress. That's the only thing I really wanted to say before you guys got your licks in here. But this is going to be a little bit different than our JJK and Attack on Titan coverages because all of us have actually all read Solo Leveling. So we're all veterans here. There's no rookies. So just going to be a little bit different breakdown than what we're used to. Even with our knowledge of the webtoon, it's going to be hard for me not to say manga. I'm trying to be respectful and just call it a webtoon. It's so hard for me. But I think we're going to do our best to keep this spoiler free. If anything, like our One Piece discussions at the very end of each episode, we may just have a couple minutes of a spoiler filled discussion, but we'll see if it comes down to it. We're also going forward, likely going to be covering these episodes in groups of two besides this one. We just wanted to give ourselves more time to kind of discuss the first episode release, our vibes with it and everything. But now I'll just kind of hand it over to Kyle and Alki to give their thoughts and experience with Solo Leveling.
Go ahead, conductor. I'll be the caboose.
Sounds good. So it's interesting that you say an adaptation of the webtoon because I was reading on the interwebs right before we logged on that so we know, the three of us know this, but it's a webtoon based off of a light novel.
Mm-hmm.
And so the series, the TV show, the anime is going to be based off the light novel, not the webtoon.
Interesting.
Oh,
So that's why we've been talking off pod about some, I guess, like structural changes they made in this episode, but it's not the animation studio was moving things around for storytelling purposes. I think this is how this is how the light novel goes. So it'll just be interesting for us because we'll get a little bit of
I'm out. I'm just kidding.
like new flavor to the story, like you said, Dave, because we obviously have all already read this. So
that was one of my notes actually. It was just like I hope that the anime adaptation kind of gives us a new flair. But this is complete this is exactly what I would want.
Which is cool. Yeah, it's definitely good it's honestly probably the best case scenario, I would say. I love the first episode. It's interesting because the webtoon is colored. Just in full color. It's like you can tell it's digitally drawn, so I feel like the motion is drawn really well in the webtoon, so it feels easier to like track the action. So it's just like is an interesting thing watching it be actually animated because we've seen it in such like rich color before still. So it was just interesting. I enjoyed
it. Solo Leveling is one hell of a ride. Yeah. The webtoon we said. Mm-hmm. It's also called the Korean mangas are called manhwa, manhwa. They are directly influenced by manga, and they have now grown enough in popularity to influence other areas of the world outside of South Korea. Solo Leveling being one of them, and maybe the best that I have dived into. It's seriously just an exciting story. The webtoons, as Kyle said, flows so well, page by page. It is in color, which is unique to most manga that we read. So it just like it feels like it's animated as you're reading it. So to watch it is really exciting. I've never read the light novel. I know that it was influenced by the light novel. I think people are pretty torn on which they like more. I remember when I finished the story that there was a little bit of a battle there. But I know what I'm doing till 3 a.m. tonight. Probably going to fucking read the whole shit. Fuck.
Yeah, I actually just reread Solo Leveling again for the second time within the past couple months. So all of it's really fresh in my brain. So I'll definitely be able to pinpoint some differences here. But again, if it's going to be based off the light novel, the anime adaptation, that is, then who really cares about my thoughts because it's not going
Yeah.
to really mean much.
It's
Although there
still
will
valid.
be, I think the important change, and I guess they haven't, or maybe that might have been a rumor. And now I'm realizing it as I'm saying the sentence out loud. There was the rumor that they were going to change things to make it Japanese instead of South Korean.
I think the only thing is just location. That's the
But
only
yeah,
thing.
it doesn't seem like they've changed anyone's names.
Mm-mm.
Sung seems
They
to
have
be Sung. So.
Japaneseified the names. Like the Korean names are three words, Sun Jin-woo, but in the anime it's Sung with a G. I don't think that's from the manga.
No, he's Sung in the.
They call him Song, but like again, I don't
Yeah.
know enough about the
This would be
Korean,
interesting.
unfortunately, or
Yeah.
Japanese language enough for me to be able to know what the actual
Yeah.
name
So that
differences
might just
are.
be something for us to look out for because I completely forgot that was a thing while I was watching. I
Yeah.
literally just remembered that. So
Speaking
maybe
of the
something to look out
names, please, please, please be patient with us because
for. Dude, they're tough.
these are going to be fucking hard. Like more so,
some of the hardest names.
absolutely. Like I mean, just to rattle off, like Choi's fine, but like Ha Chae-in, I don't even know if I'm saying her. Like she's the Bay of all bays, and I don't even know if I'm going to be saying her name right. But there's going to be a few here, and please forgive us for butchering these names. If anything, we'll give them nicknames probably as we go along, and that's just how we'll refer to them.
I
But
have
Except for the goat we'll run into in like season 3.
yes,
I have a an additional comment to yours, Dave.
Mhm.
The webtoon I feel in the websites, the translation's always a little funny. The grammar's poor, and yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, I don't go to Barnes and Noble and buy like the volumes of Solo Leveling, so I'm reading on a website. Sue me. Nonetheless, the grammar and the translation seem to be off. With that being said, I'm not sure if the light novel follows that trend. I'm gonna find out tonight before the end of the night, before I fall asleep at 3 in the morning. And with that being said, also I'm happy to watch the anime and I guess get an accurate translation.
Yeah.
So I'm eager to see how the story unfolds on screen.
God, I'm so hyped to be talking about Solo Leveling right now. I can't believe it. But just in terms of episode structure, we'll be discussing the episode like we do most anime, just kind of covering in certain buckets of scenes and characters, and then have discussions on anything that we want to in those buckets. So for this specific episode, I have it broken down in this order. We'll start with the background of the world, specifically with Chairman Go. I think his name is Gun Hee, but we don't really need to worry about that. It's just Chairman Go for now, and then we'll kind of also talk about a little bit of the other parts of the world as well with the guilds and things like that. And then part 2 will be the introduction of the Ant Raid, which was the very first scene, as well as some of the S-class heroes that we meet throughout the first episode. And then finally we'll end with the meat and potatoes, or just potatoes for Kyle, of Sung Jin-woo's raid.
Double helping of potatoes.
So first we'll get into the background of the world. We are introduced to an older man named Chairman Go. He seems to be the head of this, we'll call it the Hunters Association. He's basically discussing this meeting that he just came out of, talking about how the administration, I don't really know what administration it is, but he just says the administration, wants to start, monopolizing dungeons and basically having hunters go in and steal the resources that are within them. So we get introduced to one of those resources being the essence stones, which are collected from dungeon monsters. The stronger the monster, the bigger stones or power that these essence stones will emit. They can be converted into weapons and gear. But the other thing that this was definitely different from at least the webtoon variation is I feel like we're going to get more into like the essence stones being actually a part of the story here. Like in the manga or the webtoon, it's really not, they don't really talk too much about it. It's just a source of income. But specifically here, they say that it's a rare fuel source that only hunters can collect, basically outmatching all other sources of energy. Like, I'm so stupid. I'm just blanking, but basically it's going to be a
nuclear energy. How about that?
Yeah, the strongest of those kind of resources. So
that was,
yeah. So this was a little bit of a difference here for us, but Chairman Go looking good, man.
Dude, he looks great. He's a beast.
He's a hot piece of ass. We're gonna be hyping up all these characters, and all the first time watchers are just gonna be like, these guys are just ruining the experience.
He has all those scars on his face. You can tell he fucking had a heyday back in the day.
Yeah, he is a man, and we don't get the name of the assistant that's with him, but he will be no doubt an important character going forward, so we won't have to worry about that. But yeah, dungeons basically appear in throughout the world. Specifically, I think it's kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen. Like I think they're mostly centered around Japan. Well, I guess in the anime now,
Japan
it's
slash
gonna be Japan.
Korea. They didn't
Yeah,
say if it's Japan or Korea, did
but
they yet?
not. I don't think so.
Don't remember.
Actually,
I don't recall.
yeah,
In
I
the
don't
anime, at
remember.
least.
But yeah, these dungeons appear, and basically they hunters will form raids, which is just multiple hunters of different powers going into the dungeons, beating the bosses that appear within them, harvesting the resources in them. That's all you really need to know for now.
Classic video game stuff.
Yeah, just kind of the basic, which is it's such a great format. Like I mean, this is the kind of format that kind of like hooked me with Sword Art Online. Like just
Yeah.
the idea of just leveling up and becoming this boss is just the best.
It's interesting. Actually, another a lot of the Korean manhwas, they follow like the video game influence like format. I've seen that in a couple other ones, similarly with the dungeons and stuff. This one is for sure the best.
Yeah. It's interesting too, Dave, you say that with the leveling up because we know that and they tell us that in this episode that when you're granted powers as a hunter
Mm,
that you literally can't do anything to change them. It's just you are
very
as strong
true.
as you are, you're as weak as you are, your power is your power. You can
Yeah,
get
I think
gear, you can level gear up, but your power itself is just the same.
I think that's probably the most unique power scaling in any story that we've covered slash watched or read. Like, what anime or manga have you ever read where you cannot get past the ceiling?
mhm.
You
Yeah,
know
that's a
what I
good
mean?
point. I feel like
Like
a lot of them are stories. I mean, obviously,
every manga, like
this will
shonen,
get
is all.
into like character growth, but I feel like that's usually an easy way to show growth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like every manga or anime that's shonen, especially that we've ever watched or read, is like all about reaching and exceeding your potential. And then this is all about not being able to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never actually thought about that, but that's a very good point to bring up. Is that yeah, basically once you're locked into your position in the world, you're locked in there. There's no hopes of ever. For now, there's no hopes of aspiring to become stronger than what you really are. So this will lead us into we'll now talk about the very first scene of the episode. We just get a group of different hunters fighting these ants, which I only want to bring this up because it will become important, a huge plot point later on in the series. But we do get our introduction to Choi Jung In. He was the fire mage. We also get this guy named this we're getting it fucked up here, but it's Bak Yoon Hoo, which is
Legend.
yeah, he's definitely a legend in the game. We don't see too much. Do we see him? Do we see any of his
Nah,
powers?
he kind of like grows his body a little bit. You can tell he has like
Okay.
sharp teeth.
Okay, yeah. So that's our guy there. And then the other black haired guy, I didn't get his name, but I kind of know who he is just again based off my fresh reread, but he's not very important to the story, but just some great fights here just in the beginning just to kind of show off the animation, get us kind of
Yeah.
hooked into the first 5 minutes of the episode. So what were your guys' thoughts on this introducing as the very first piece of the episode? Because obviously, as we know in the webtoon, we're only going to be talking about the webtoon here, not the light novel, that we don't really see the outcome of this event until like pretty much later on in the series. So it was kind of cool getting this. It was 3 years ago, I think they said too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Caboose.
And how long was how long has it been since the dungeons am-
They didn't
appeared?
say.
10
Doesn't
years?
say,
It
but
doesn't? Okay. I'm just guessing 10 years. That's not like me
yeah.
spoiling anything. I just I'm pleasantly surprised to see them hint at this. I guess I can just call it an arc.
Yeah.
Hint at this arc this early, but it's gonna be, oh man, when we get to it, shit, like it's it's just epic, and the hunters are so cool. Their designs are sweet with the armor and shit. Like, I don't know, it's just good. The colors are great. I'm excited, and these characters that Dave mentioned are important for sure, and they're gonna have a lasting role in the story. And our MC will interact with pretty much all of them, including the ants.
Yeah, it just seems like a really smart and efficient way to kill two birds with one stone to like introduce us to the ants
Mhm.
and then
Kind of
show
just-
us these characters.
Mhm.
Just felt good. And the animation was the biggest, I think, question mark going in. We know that the story, as long as they follow it even 90% of it's not like overly complicated. So like as long as they follow the story for the most part, the only big question mark was going to be the animation, because this deserves to be animated to like the absolute highest level, because it gets fucking amazing and makes me want to cry thinking about it. But so that was the biggest question, and they literally answered it right away. It's almost like they knew that that's what people were really tuning in for, who have seen, or I'm sorry, who have read, like, because they love this story. The big question mark transitioning to the medium is the animation, and they nailed it in my opinion.
I know Alki had some. If you want to bring,
I
them
just
up.
think that I'm spoiled. Okay, like Fire Force, Jujutsu Kaisen, even with the mishaps, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, like that shit is like pristine.
Jujutsu
And
Kaisen's animation was not better than this. I
but the
don't believe that.
flow is better and like the art is a little better. This just feels a little bit to me like 2012 anime. I don't know how to explain it. Like it just, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's clearly not the highest production value. I'm also giving it a chance because it's only the first episode. Nothing really happened. So like whatever.
That was just gonna be my only thing, is that who knows, I know there was probably a huge audience for Solo Leveling. I mean, this is one of the few episodes that like release on Crunchyroll that crashed the site itself. One Piece being one of those episodes, Attack on Titan being one of those episodes. And so there is a lot of people tuning in, but I feel like once we get the backing of the anime community, like they'll definitely look for those upgrades. I personally had no issues with it at all. I agree that we're just completely spoiled. Like me and Alki are rewatching Demon Slayer with Luke for his first time, and like that shit is just crystal clear.
Yeah, that's actually just what it is. It's like that's so fresh in my brain.
Yeah.
It's hard to separate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
is
don't
the
know.
pinnacle.
I don't
we
even need
also
to
know that
mention it.
a lot of times these studios, they just try to play their cards. They have the season storyboarded. They know where they need to go hard in the paint, and they know where they can not, I don't want to say cut corners, but where the animation quality doesn't need to be an 11 out of 10, it can satisfy as like a 9 or a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
A 9 or 10 out of 10 is fucking great. I mean, like I think like as long as it's like an 8
Yeah.
is fine.
Before we get to our final S-class hero introduction, we just get a quick shot of some of the inner workings of how you kind of begin your journey as a hunter. You are brought to this facility with this weird machine that just you touch it and it just kind of ranks you based on your power. And you can be classified from either S to E rank being the worst. We kind of get a shot of someone here going through that process. Will become a relevant character later episodes, but as of right now, just a nobody. We also get some shots. Yeah, we get some other quick shots of like other hunters that we'll see later on as well. Like there's a high school girl in there too that she'll become relevant as well as a character. But just your basic power scaling kind of introduction here. And like it makes it much easier for us. Like we said, once you're kind of ranked, you're ranked. So it makes it a little bit easier to kind of gauge someone's abilities based on their ranking. So if it's immediately when Sung Jin-woo is an E rank meets a B rank, like we already know that's a pretty big fucking deal. So
yeah, I just like, and part of this story that I like is it's like our world with, granted, a very big twist.
Yeah.
But it's like the idea of the guilds and like the guild recruitment process and like the business aspect of it, like feels very realistic. And,
yeah, it's like literally people trying
a little bit, like immersive kind of in a way, which I just kind of enjoy.
It's like people literally trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, you graduate from college, you have your degree, you get recruited. Not actually how the world works. I wish it was that easy, but kind of here, same thing, same just concept on paper here. Just you get your rank. Guilds will approach you based on your rank. If you're higher, you'll obviously get more recruits.
I think if I went there, I'd probably be an S.
Yeah, you think you'd be that luggy?
I'd be definitely a national rank, that's for sure.
I'd be S.
Go touch the black orb. You'd be lucky enough to be a hunter. I mean, the odds are you probably wouldn't even be a hunter.
No, everybody, right?
No, not everyone's a hunter. Like Sung Jin-woo is strong amongst average humans. Like I don't know if they mentioned it here. They might have missed it, but if you're an E-rank hunter, no, like it's only
like his sister's
people.
just in college.
In the manga, this isn't a spoiler either, really, but eventually, oh shit, I totally forgot where I was going with that. Whatever.
Spoiler.
I actually, that makes sense, and I'm embarrassed that I didn't know that, but
Oh, they do. So what I was going to say is that later on, they basically say, oh, there's been an increase of hunters in the world. Like it's usually
Mm.
been kind of this flat line, but now there's more in the world and more people are popping
I
up.
I know we haven't gotten into it yet, but like when he's in the dungeon and he actually like dodges and like stabs the goblin, I
Yeah.
was
Impressed.
impressed
Yeah.
for a second.
But let's quickly cover
Mm.
everyone's number one waifu. Definitely my number one waifu, Ha Chae-in.
Mm, mm,
We just
mm.
see a little robbery happen here, and who else but our girl is gonna step in here, showing off that fucking
Wild
badonkadonk
shot.
ass.
Wild shot.
The fan service,
Dinner.
man. It's
I'm just
great.
Yeah,
kidding.
but she is beauty, she is grace. They kind of showed it. And the little shy aspect, that's just a good intro scene. We're probably gonna say it a million times, but this is not how it happens in the webtoon. So she comes along later in that story. So it was just
Fan
really nice to see her.
service.
Did not expect to see her.
To be honest, I do like her introduction in the webtoon more than I do here. It's just this was a good display of her power, man. I mean,
I
Yeah.
agree with
It's
you.
yeah.
I
it's
agree with
interesting
you.
to think too, like how where else are we gonna see her? Like, are we
yeah,
gonna then skip to the next time we see her as her actual intro in the webtoon, or like will we
Like we
just
don't
get
see her
little
till like
check-ins?
the second arc even.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
what
it
like
takes a
I'm.
little bit.
That is
So.
definitely a good point because I'm curious if they're gonna just make her now a recurring character this early on, or will our next shot of her be in that next arc that we get to?
I wonder if she's in the light novel this early.
Yeah, I mean,
I,
she's obviously doing things off screen.
mhm.
Well, yeah, that goes
So-
without saying.
She
Well,
is
yeah, but I'm
just
just saying, like, there's content there, and yeah, if the light novel is different, we'll find out. Alki will find out too
She-
tonight at 3 a.m.
she is the freaking best, man. There's not enough good words for us to
Yeah.
speak about this woman, but enough of our fangirling over
Yeah,
Ha
it'll
Chae-in.
show eventually.
We will get to the hefty boy part of this episode and in Sung Jin-woo. So we're introduced to our main character here, Sung Jin-woo, ride or die, baby. Everyone is excited to see him as he appears to this dungeon break, and he appears to be famous, but not in a good way. He's more so infamous because he is known as the weakest of the weak. As an E rank hunter, he can barely tackle E rank monsters. He might even be the weakest of all the E rank heroes out there. And that's kind of just why he has this rep around him. Like people just know that, okay, if he's appearing in this dungeon, we don't have to worry about too much, you
That's
know?
I love that little part. That's so funny that they
Yeah.
literally see him and everyone's like eases up. It's like, okay.
Yeah, we can handle this one. We got this one.
It's so funny. I mean, obviously, it don't work out like that, but
He looks like such a dork at the beginning of this, but
oh my god,
fuck,
yeah.
man, the turnaround's going to be so great. I'm so excited for those later episodes. But yeah, that's basically the introduction to our boy Sung Jin Woo. We get the group walking in early on. We do see the leader of the raid is a C rank hunter, I believe. I forget. I don't have his name written down. I don't even know if they said it here, but if that information gets leaked in the next episode, whatever, they get their
Say,
group.
It seems like Mr. Song or something like that.
It's yeah, okay.
Song Chi Yu or
Okay.
Song Chi Yul.
Another boss, honestly, but they go into the gate and it's very typical for Sung Jin Woo right now. He's getting pieced up by these weak ass goblins where others are kind of having no struggles whatsoever. And he continues to rely on the heels of, I'm embarrassed. I think I copied Go Gung Hee's name down, so I don't have her name written down, but what is
Lee Ju Hee.
Lee Ju Hee? This is a character that Sung Jin Woo is very familiar with. They appear to be going on raids. I don't know if I think it's probably just coincidence at this point, but she's always the one that's healing. Sung Jin Woo is kind of just infuriated by his constant efforts of dungeon hunting when he's so weak, but it's more so out of concern of his life rather
He wants
than
it.
just, yeah, she does want it. We do see that she offers Sung Jin Woo to a date early in the episode. So this is our first bae we get here. Not gonna say too much about her, but this is girl number one for Sung Jin Woo, and let's just say I'm rooting for him at the end of the day.
She's justified in her feelings. I think it would be frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would definitely be frustrated all the time. This kid just shows up all the time, and it's like every 5 minutes you got to provide this kid some heals. But it's always also really cool always seeing like the healing aspects of the world, because even in the first ant raid in the beginning of the episode, these dudes are missing chunks of their bodies. The level of healing is definitely very reassuring. If I was a hunter, knowing that if I were to have a huge laceration in my body, it could just go away in a matter of minutes, like that's just really nice to know.
Yeah, it's probably levels of healing though.
Yeah, I mean,
Too.
I don't know again if they say it here, but she's a B rank healer, so that's obviously a
Oh, that's
pretty big deal. Yeah.
I did you mention and like Sun Jin-woo, they were all hyped that he's there because that means the dungeon would be easy.
Yes, yes, yes. That was Kyle was saying that's like one of his favorite aspects of it. It's just a nice sigh of relief for most people when
Like
they see him.
they just show up to like the food truck on the construction site, like grabbing a coffee, getting a little breakfast.
Yeah.
Think it's gonna be a nice easy morning, and then yeah.
All right. So after defeating the boss of the dungeon, the raid group comes across a strange door a little farther down that definitely gives off some ominous vibes. They have a vote to decide if they should continue on and reap the full benefits of the dungeons themselves, or should they call the Hunters Association for backup, risking all the rewards to the newcomers who kind of show up in this to clear out the rest of the dungeon. And of course, it's a tie. And of course, it comes down to Sung Jin Woo as the final vote. And we kind of find out a little bit more of his backstory here. We find out that his mother is sick in the hospital. I'm sure those medical bills are not cheap. We also find out his sister's in school, and he doesn't really have a great way of making money. So he hunts these monsters that are E rank, and he gets these essence cores, but the essence cores are barely enough to pay for the weapons that he holds. The weapons kind of just break in dungeons anyway. So he's stuck in this vicious cycle of not making enough money. He has to just spend it all on the weapons to keep going, and he just can't really save any money for his sister or his mom. And that leads him to vote on let's continue going at the cost of some lives here. They With the deciding vote now made, they enter the room with a bunch of stone statues surrounding the perimeter, with one gigantic one on the opposite end of the door. And this is where the true story of solo leveling begins. They enter the room, and once they do, there is no going back. One man tries to leave, and boy, what a terrible decision that ends up being, because he is completely split in half by one of the stone statues. Everyone at first kind of was in awe of the statues, not really thinking that they could come alive. And here they realize that they can, and they are all, at least the statues themselves, are like 3 or 4 times bigger than the average human. So, and this guy was a D rank hunter that just got killed. So Sung Jin Woo is like freaking the fuck out. But this is where the shit hits the fan, man. I mean, this is I I just laugh every time I say this word nowadays, but iconic scene. It has bred, well, I guess in episode 2, it breeds a meme that people use, later on. But yeah, what were you guys' thoughts on this scene?
I'm in the back of the train, baby. Anyway, uh, no, this was the moment in the story when you read that gets you hooked, pretty much, and it got cut short, to be honest. And
I feel like they should have gone through the whole.
And we'll talk next episode of what we're insinuating here, but it still ended excited. I mean, it was exciting, and it left on a pretty big cliffhanger. Like, they're in the deep shit. This double dungeon shit is like very rare, and they should have called the fucking Hunter Association, and they fucked up.
Greed got the best of them.
Yeah.
Greed.
I don't blame Sung, obviously, but
you can't really. And then the guy, who has a newborn on the way, or whether it was born or whether it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, everyone has their own individual reasons, but they're about to fuck around and find out. They're getting into they've immediately jumped into the find out part of that equation, because shit is about to. I mean, it has hit the fan, obviously, but it somehow is going to get worse. And it's tough, because I watched some reactions of people that didn't read. They seem to think I don't want to say they seem to think like they're like engaged in a cliffhanger so much where it's like, holy shit, how is at the end of the episode? I need episode 2. So I guess it works in that sense. But us, with the
Yeah.
knowledge, it's like, give me episode 2 in a different way, because it's like I know what's coming and I want it to come. Like I wanted that to end episode 1 so badly, but episode 2 should just be literally incredible. I mean, it's everything from here on out is going to be incredible. There's really no other option.
Yeah.
It's just
So
like as bad as it gets, I would say.
yeah, basically Sung Jin-woo's incredible instinct to avoid death, as well as him seeing the statues actually start to move. He's able to deduce that the one gigantic statue at the other opposite end of the room is able to move, and his intuition does not fail him. He advises everyone to get down. The godly statue fires a laser from its eyes that immediately just vaporizes a few of our raiders. And that's the cliffhanger that we get here. It's just great seeing kind of the mindset of Sung Jin Woo. I mean, we know him as a wimp, but it was just kind of cool getting that like MC moment here. Just I've avoided death so many times. I come across it every day, multiple times a day, because I'm just so weak that I just have this knack for knowing when something really bad's about to happen, and we get that instinct here, and it's just a cool like MC moment, obviously.
Yeah, puts a little respect on his name for sure, especially within the knowledge that everyone else sees him and relaxes, because it's like, okay, it's gonna be easy. Like we have the guy leading it, Mr. Sung, is I think they said like a C-class hero. So he obviously is confronting death in the sense that he's going into the dungeon, but he's probably a lot more confident in his ability to survive than while Sung goes in. It's like, okay, I could, literally the chances I die are the highest of anyone here, but I'm still getting after it. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with the cliffhanger. I just would have done it differently. That's all.
I just feel like I would have fit.
You know?
I feel like I would have tried to fit it all in
released
here.
all of it at once.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just like have it end where we all know where it's going to end, and then the next episode him waking up. But
make the whole series over years, and then release the whole series every episode at once, so I can just watch all of it.
I actually disagree with what you're saying, Dave. I have another point where I think it should end.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So
should we officially?
Yeah.
Like the first
Into
episode.
spoiler talk.
Yeah. So obviously
Oh,
we're all
doing it?
very excited. Yeah, we can. I mean, I feel like we're kind of chomping at the bit here to get some information out there. But that'll be it for at least the spoiler-free portion of solo leveling episode 1. It seems like obviously that we're all in very high spirits of this episode, and we're easily craving more content. But for those who do not want any spoilers, you have your chance right now. I'm going to give you a little bit of extra time to get out of the podcast, close the app down. Boom, there you go. And now we're going to open up to our spoiler-filled portion of the content, which, all right, now, Alki, go ahead and tell us the scene that you think it should have ended at.
I think it should have ended with the fucking big statue, like with this huge grin.
Oh, yeah, I know you had said
been
that, too,
sick.
yeah.
Actually, I have to give credit to one of my players on my basketball team that I coach. He reads Solo Leveling, and he was like, "Did you watch it?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "It should have ended there," and I was like, "Bro, you're fucking right."
So, like, before it vaporized everything is kind of what you're saying? Like, I know the smile that you're referring to, obviously.
Yeah, like, doesn't he, like, when it, like, all clicks that they're
Moving.
fucking done, like, everybody in that room is basically dead, like, doesn't he just go, like, big-ass grin?
It's a big-ass grin, yeah.
I think it should have ended like kind of like it reminds me of like the Attack on Titan episode 1 with the grin of the Titan that eats Aaron's mom. You know, kind of reminds me of that.
Is that player going to get more playing time now because of that?
He's on the varsity roster, bro. We're going to the championship in 2 weeks.
All right.
I think me and Kyle are on the same boat of we should have just ended it with him getting killed, and then just episode 2, I feel like it should just be him waking up in the hospital. Like that's just how I feel like it should be.
That's like how my heart feels, because I just want to see as much as possible. But I think like logically speaking, yeah, I think the smile is probably number 1. What they did is probably number 2, and then
I think that would have been too much. I think that would have been too much, to be honest.
I'm being a little selfish and a little greedy.
Make it like a 45-minute opening.
Because the first episode of every like comic, manga or manhwa, aren't they usually longer?
Yeah.
I don't remember actually how the first chapter ended specifically.
Yeah, I don't really. I honestly don't.
But I mean, obviously, like we said, we don't know anything about the light novel. in terms of its structure. But yeah, this episode opening with the Jeju Island ants was nuts, and it was crazy. It's gonna be crazy to look back on what we see as S-class hunters, and it's like inconclusive what they show, but we'll learn obviously that like they were just kind of battling worker ants.
Yeah.
Like to a stalemate as S-class hunters, and then we see fucking Sung just come in and just be a god, obviously. So I just the animation to come is just gonna be insane. Hopefully, I mean,
I
we'll
hope
see what
so.
happens. Obviously,
I think when this the anime is really going to pick up, I think I'm going to guess around episode 4 or 5, because that'll give us past the basilisk that he's about to fight, and maybe next episode maybe get us to him fighting Egress. Like, I think episode 4 is where we need to, once he starts.
The light novel apparently is much more like drawn out, like the initial training parts of it.
I can feel that.
It's not as fast paced, I guess, as the webtoon was. It's just what I read. We'll see though. Maybe they combine.
I imagine, like, to me, I'm picturing episode 2 ending with him about to walk into the dungeon where he's about to fight the wolves basically for the first time, and then the snake. Like, I think the snake.
All that's gonna happen in 20 minutes.
Like, I think him getting killed, waking up in the hospital, getting the screen. That's all happening.
They
this
could
next
end
episode.
2 with him getting killed almost.
Well, they also got to show him
all of that stuff.
They got to show him ignoring the exercise, the daily exercise routine, because basically him surviving the 24-hour punishment grants him the key that opens up the portal where he gets his first dagger, essentially. And like, that's just where I'm thinking that either way, I think episode 4 is where, like, we're getting our fucking OG guy.
I gotta freshen up,
dude. Once the abs start forming, once the heights start coming in, like the haircut change, like that's when the show is gonna be fucking all time. And
I guess it feels like it's gonna be slower than that.
I'm not opposed to that. I mean, the manga, honestly, like, while that is one of the things that was like a selling point for me, was how quick paced it was. Like, I don't mind if they want to slow it down, because I just know how much I love the solo leveling content. I'm fine with it being slowed down. But my last comment too is just, it's so cool just looking at this scene and knowing that this was all planned by the Monarch. Like, he knew coming into this that Sung Jin-woo was going to be his guy, and that Sung Jin-woo was going to stick through this fucking dungeon. And it's just it
might be years until this comes to fruition, but I'm so excited to get the legit explanation, because in the webtoon, I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense.
So the webtoon that we read, I think, was about maybe a little less than 200 chapters, if I had to guess. And around chapter like 140-ish, maybe, is when things kind of just get real confusing, because they're kind of, again, it's a fast-paced
it was
webtoon.
Tough. Kind of got lulled to sleep almost. Of like, this action is so sick. Like,
him getting to like level 100
dialogue. Like, let's go back to
it's basically
ass.
Once
that's pretty much how
level 100.
True.
Everything becomes less about him training to be the strongest, which is arguably the best content of the
grinding.
Webtoon. Is the grinding. But I'm truly excited to see
his power is the coolest, one of the coolest powers of any
that chapter for the first time, when it's like week by week, and you're just like, he pulls up it. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And you're just sitting on that cliffhanger of like, what class is he going to be? And it's fucking.
So that's what it is, right? The hunters are classes, like elemental. Is it elemental? I forget.
There's like 5 classes. There's like healer, mage,
right.
berserker, tank.
You said that to me the other day. What I love about his power is it's like the stat building, right? Like a video game avatar character, but the fucking necromancing is sick. And then those stats, they like, when I saw the ants, I think about my second favorite character, Beirut, and I got fucking fired up. That dude is a baller, and he's literally a fucking, he's like fodder. He's probably one of the strongest people in the fucking story, and he is part of Sung Jin-woo's army.
Yeah, he just.
It's like, just gonna get so insane.
In the post-credit like webtoon, like the final like 3 chapters or whatever, that's like post-life everything. It's funny how he is so attached to being Sung Jin-woo's like right-hand man. He gets jealous of this new character that gets introduced later on, that's just who is actually supposed to be the Monarch King's number 1 right-hand man. He's like, I want to be right-hand man, and Sung Jin-woo's just like, you can be the left hand man. He's like, I'll take it. I'll take it. Like
it's so good. There's like little. I wonder how those will hit the little
the
comedy.
comedy.
Anime,
Yeah.
it is an easier medium, I think, but
Mhm.
that's gonna be funny. One thing I'm very interested in. This is the final point I have, I think, on the episode, especially because episode 2 should bring us maybe the first example of it. Is going to be like the voice acting for like
the pain.
like like the lieutenants, the actual like things
Oh,
he
yeah,
converses with in his army, and then obviously in this room, because it's like the dialogue boxes are drawn so interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, they
in
were
the
like
webtoon.
squiggle. It was like
Yeah,
wingdings, wasn't
so
it? Like
that'll just
wingdings
be-
too at one point.
Yeah, and like that's when he like the next time he's in the room and he like goes to like the vision and watches like the old war, whatever you want to call it. It is like wingdings, yeah, type of thing. But I just like, yeah, like how does this Stone King in here, I guess for lack of a better term, like sound in his head? How does he speak? It's just gonna be that stuff's gonna be interesting to find out.
Because I know, at least speaking of webtoons, like for God of High School, I know Jin Mori's voice actor what didn't particularly like kind of hit home for me. So I hope that they kind of assign the right voice actors to these characters because I know for Kyle, we can mention the name now, Thomas Andre.
Ooh,
Yeah, that
he's got to be like Joker.
Goes with the
yeah,
gotta
sauce.
be like that
that would be
guy.
that guy. It's got to be that guy.
And like
So,
Beirut has got to be
Yeah.
like raspy, like
I feel like I still picture like a higher pitched voice for him, kind of.
yeah, I guess it could. He is an
Do you think-
ant.
Do you think Thomas Andre as an American will speak in English?
No.
That's like a part of it.
I
is that, like,
wish.
they like don't
Yeah.
like can't actually have a conversation.
No,
Like, that-
'cause
that
they
becomes
have
a plot point
translators.
at some points.
Yeah, they have translators. You're right.
That's
that would
true,
be
but, like,
interesting.
They have, yeah. There's like points where like they literally can't have a conversation.
No, but
Ah.
like in other anime, I can't think of any. But
I think they'll
they just
speak
like
in-
speak in Japanese.
Japanese, yeah.
but it'll just be translated again. But dude, this fucking
So much
hype
so-
man.
but that's also like, yeah, how many years away are we from that? We're getting ahead of
Yeah,
ourselves.
that's
I was-
yeah. We just unloaded
I
like
was doing the
everything.
notes. Yeah, I mean that's why I wanted to do this one as a singular kind of episode because I knew kind of towards the end we would be just fangirling, man.
Dude,
This-
honestly,
Like-
the anime has a lot to live up to. The webcomic was so good. Like you actually feel the speed
oh, yeah.
when you're like
The
scrolling
impact
through,
of things, for
especially because
sure.
it's not
the lines, yeah.
like
the
well,
trail.
yeah, like the
That
trails, the
long,
color trails.
continuous scroll is
Yes, that like okay, like on manga, whatever that I read it on, One Piece, I read it like that, like it's a scroll, excuse me. But the webtoon is actually designed that way. So like as
Yeah.
you're scrolling, like it unravels like
It's
that.
like a
and it's
papyrus scroll.
yeah, exactly. That's how I envision it. And I swear to God, it feels like it's animated, like it jumps out of the
Oh, yeah.
screen into your face.
Yeah.
And I think that the anime has a lot to live up to. It's gonna be hard.
Oh,
It's gonna be hard.
100%.
it's gonna be banging. And
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
bangers.
I'm not being pessimistic. I'm thinking back on
Yeah.
the anime, on the animation now, and it kind of reminds me of Akame got killed. And if it's like that level, I'd say there's nothing to be ashamed of or complain about.
When did the episode air actually? Is it Thursdays? Is Thursdays the go-to for
I have
Crunchyroll?
I think
no
it was
idea. I must have
Saturday.
Drunk on Saturday.
Yeah,
It was between Thursday and Saturday.
yeah.
Yeah,
Either
I'm just
way,
looking it up.
if any final thoughts from you guys?
No, I can't wait for
Nothing.
episode
Let's just saddle up, man.
All righty, that's going to be it for today's episode coverage of Solo Leveling. If you like what you heard, give Bingetown TV a follow on all of our socials at Bingetown TV at X, Insta, YouTube, all that good stuff. Definitely want to check out our Discord as well. That'll be located in the episode description down below. Lastly, for all of our podcast catalog, check out bingetowntv.com. We have a nice organized website there of everything that all the shows that we've covered from anime, live actions, real TV, anything that you want. There's definitely going to be something there that tickles your fancy. So be sure to check out that website. But if I didn't say it enough already, once again, we are Bingetown TV, and thanks for listening.